Welcome back. Rivers Steenkamp's family is not pleased with the fact that Judge Masipa acquitted Oscar Pistorius of murdering their daughter. Her parents were in court today. He said justice was not served. A South African athlete, Oscar Pistorius, was found guilty of culpable homicide. Judge Masipa said he had acted negligently when he fired shots through the toilet door of his apartment in the belief that there was an intruder in the house. She's also allowed him to remain on bail ahead of his sentencing, which has been fixed for October the 13th. Our judiciary correspondent, Shola Shriele, reports.
For 43 days, the world watched with rapt attention and wondered what the fate of Oscar Pistorius would be after he shot and killed his girlfriend, Rivers Steenkamp. The judge, Thokozile Masipa, listened to all the counts leveled against the Blade Runner. And on Thursday, September 11, day 42, she began delivering her judgment.
The accused, erroneous belief that his life was in danger, excludes dolus. The accused, therefore, cannot be found guilty of murder dolus eventualis. That, however, is not the end of the matter, as culpable homicide is a competent verdict.
On Friday, the judge read what was left from my evaluation of the evidence. Those who were anticipating that Pistorius would be found guilty of culpable homicide got their wish.
On count 1, murder read with section 51(1) of the Criminal Law Amendment Act 105 of 1997, the accused is found not guilty and is discharged. Instead, he is found guilty of culpable homicide.
Judge Masipa also took into account the fact that Pistorius was sufficiently trained in the use of firearms when reaching a guilty verdict on the charge of discharging a weapon in a public place.
The accused is found guilty of the second alternative, that is the contravention of section 120(3)(b).
He was, however, cleared of firing a pistol out of the sunroof of a car, an illegal possession of ammunition. Judge Masipa extended his bail until sentencing, which has been adjourned till October the 13th. With his bail extended, Pistorius remains free until sentencing. He left the court building looking visibly relieved, as some of his fans outside cheered. Shola Shriele, Channels Television News.
Oscar Pistorius did not speak about the judgment, but his uncle Arnold, who spoke to the media shortly after his nephew was cleared of premeditated murder, says there are no victors here. Reactions have been varied to the outcome, and our correspondent Pt.3, who was in court today, reports.
Well, if this was left to public opinion, what a hung jury it would be. But then there are courts, there's a legal process, there are technicalities, and there is a judge. And the judge in this case has ruled that Oscar Pistorius is not guilty of premeditated murder, but guilty of culpable homicide. He's not guilty on count 2 of a reckless discharge of a firearm, but guilty in the case of the Tasha's restaurant shooting, but not guilty, that is count 4, of illegal possession of ammunition. But that is not the end of the matter. There was also the issue of the extension or not of his bail. The state prosecuting body was the first to react.
We believed, of course, and we still do, that there was sufficient evidence on the premeditated murder and also on the charges upon which the accused was acquitted. But as I said, we accept that this is where we are today, and of course we'll have to wait until the sentence is imposed to make further comments.
And so did many more.
I think the judge erred with dolus eventualis. I think that the fact that it was Riva or the fact that it was an intruder shouldn't matter. The fact is that he ultimately killed somebody, whether or not he could have reasonably foreseen that it was Riva or somebody else.
She did support her evidence much with the law, which was good, but there are facts that they were just too obvious. And I do feel generally that another judge would have looked at it differently, would have looked at the facts differently.
Both families are forever changed. And I feel sorry for Riva's family as well. But I just want to say to them, I hope that they will find forgiveness in their hearts. to be free again and to forgive Oscar, because I believe it was just a tragic accident.
While the defense argued for an extension of his 1 million rand bail pending next month's sentencing, the state argued for a reversal in the interest of justice, given that Oscar has been convicted of a serious crime and has disposed of his property, which shows he has no binding to the country. But the judge ruled in favor of the Blade Runner, saying he posed no flight risk. While the Steenkamps wouldn't speak to the media, a visibly relieved Arnold Pistorius held a brief press conference.
We would really like to show how deep grateful we are for Judge Masipa that has found Oscar not guilty of murder. A tragic event like this, there's no big piece in this.
Answer, Mr. Pistorius. Any comments, Oscar?
Oscar had no comment, but a huge crowd awaited him outside. Mobbed by a horde of fans as he left the court, Oscar Pistorius returns home to his family as the matter continues on the 13th of October 2014 for sentencing and probably the arguments for mitigation or aggravation of sentencing. From the North Gauteng High Court in Pretoria, South Africa, Betsy Dibia reporting for Channels Television News.
First Bank.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to Business News. I am Adeshawa Josh. The Central Bank of Nigeria is working on a draft regulatory framework that will enable small business owners access funding with the use of movable assets. According to the acting director in charge of development finance at the Apex Bank, Dr. Olaiton Mudashiru, when the final document is released, small business owners will be able to borrow money with the use of assets as little as television sets and jewelry as collateral. Now, customers of Portland Paints are in for a new experience. They now have an option of additional 1,000 colors to choose from, delivered to them within minutes in new attractive packages. This was revealed at the launch of the point-of-sale tinting system and new packaging for the Santex brand in Lagos. Our correspondent, Chris Elems, reports.
So, what is life without colors?
It's a celebration of colors, quality, and strong brand identity. And gathered here are bidding professionals as well as management of Portland Paints, a subsidiary of UAC of Nigeria PLC. They've come to witness some of the latest innovation in the paint industry introduced by Portland Paints.
Customers will now enjoy up to 1,000 more colors with improved products that come in a new, modern and attractive packaging.
Steps by the company to deliver exceptional value to customers through its Santex brand is captured here. The management team is upbeat about this move.
In Nigeria, we are blazing the trail. We are producing the bases locally here in our factory in Ewekoro, which meets world-class standard, and we are doing the tinting here. It's about even creating jobs. It's about supporting the federal government initiative of Nigerian content in everything that we are doing.
What we see here, together with the tinting solutions that we're providing, is to give convenience back, to give beauty back, to give color back, to give so many benefits wrapped together back to the consumer.
It's been a long time coming, and one of the technical partners to this relationship expresses her delight.
On that first visit, I met up with Mr. Oshibo from Portland Paints, and he was very keen to get underway with the project. So we started, and 4 years later, here we are. But there's been a lot of water under the bridge, and I think it's going to be very successful now.
With these strides, the quality and standards of Santex paint is now further improved. And this, according to the managing director, puts the brand heads and shoulders above the rest. Chris Elems, Channels Television News.
Rural development, agricultural research, manpower, training, education and health are some of the areas in which Germany has agreed to work with the Ogun State government and Nigeria. Following a 3-day working visit by Governor Ibikuli Amoso to Berlin, Germany's Federal Minister for Economic Cooperation and Development, Mr. Gerd Müller, says his country and Europe recognizes the great opportunities that abound in Ogun State and Nigeria and would not allow the negative perceptions from its security challenges overshadow the need for its cooperation. Our correspondent Henry Ogunjimi reports from Germany.
Well, that is maybe not typical German, but that's a good thing I just heard.
A one-day dialogue wouldn't have been enough to cement ties with one of Europe's and the world's economic powerhouses. Governor Ibikuli Amoso and his team also took the mission to rebuild Ogun State campaign to 3 major cities in Germany: the capital Berlin, Potsdam, and Brandenburg. Director of International Trade Department, Economics Division at the Potsdam Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Jens Hollmann, gave a presentation of the city's strengths and what Ogun State will benefit from the relationship.
Vocational training in Germany, to bring it also to Nigeria, maybe also the starting point to make it with German companies being already in Nigeria, to train Nigerians in their companies.
Pleased to meet you. Hello. Great honor. Thank you for coming.
Elsewhere, Caroline Stommel of Berlin and Brandenburg's Wirtschaftsrat, similar to a Chamber of Commerce, explains how our organization would engender the ties.
At the moment, I think it's 3% of politicians have some kind of business background. So there is a lot of need for dialogue because politicians have wonderful ideas, and then businessmen sometimes say there are things that you should consider.
And capping it all up, the Minister for Economic Cooperation and Development, who is also a member of the German Parliament, speaking through an interpreter, sums up the details of the partnership.
In Europe and Germany, Nigeria is sadly being perceived as a country with many negative images, including, for instance, Boko Haram. But through my visit, I understand now the great development and great opportunities of that country. And in Germany and Europe, we will intensify our ties and our cooperation because this country has great potential and great opportunities. And we need to continue to develop rural development and education and also health and also equal opportunities for women and girls. And then I think a great future lies ahead of Nigeria.
His trip to Germany may have been a short and busy one. Governor Ibikuli Amoso is returning home with strong commitments from German authorities and the business community here to support his rebuilding mission back in Ogun State. From Berlin, Germany, Henry Ogunjimi, Channels Television News.
And back home, it's been a stormy week at the Nigerian equities market as trading again closed in the red. The All-Share Index depreciated by 0.21% to close at 40,672.94 basis points. Here's BC Adebayo with more.
Hello and welcome to the stock market reports. The Nigeria equities market ended the week in negative territory as the all-share index declined by 0.21% owing to losses recorded by major market movers such as Dangote Cement, which lost 2 naira 90 kobo, PZ with a 1 naira 8 kobo decline, and UACN with a 1 naira 5 kobo drop. Forte Oil, Guinness, and Presco caught the eye of investors, appreciating by 10 naira 60 kobo, 3 naira 95 kobo, and 1 naira respectively. The all-share index ended Friday's session at 40,672.94, while market capitalization stood at 13.45 trillion naira. Major contributors to market turnover include UB Capital, Access Bank, and Transcorp. When the closing bell rang, volume came in at 263.85 million units, valued at 2.79 billion naira, and exchanged in 4,696 deals. And that's a wrap on the stock market reports. I am BC Adebayo.
Thanks a lot, Bessie. And that's Business News tonight. The News at 10 continues in a moment.
First Bank.
Still ahead of the News at 10, Gabonese football authorities refuse Golden Eaglets into Libreville over EVD threat. That's in sports news. Please join us again.